Hello guys and welcome back to another episode. So today we're going to talk about Fire Mage for PvE in World of Warcraft. So this is going to be a PvE guide for Fire Mages in World of Warcraft patch 8.1. So Fire Mages has been a guide that has been really requested, and I must admit I love play Fire Mage. It's fun, it's fast, it's really fast paced, and a lot of instant spell and movement. So it's a fine spec and really fun to play. So in this guide here, we will be going through the stats, the Azeroth traits, the talents, and the gameplay. So after you watch this guide, you should feel pretty comfortable playing Fire Mage. I mean, I will learn you the basics of Fire Mage, just the core principles and the basics of Fire Mage. I will learn you everything so you know what to do, what to play. I mean, you should know pretty much everything after this. And of course I will learn you the core principles, and from here on it's your job to go up here. But I'm learning you all the small things and all the basics, so you will be 100% sure you know what you're doing when you play Fire Mage, and then it's only up to you to be the pro. So let's just dive directly into it and go through the first topic, that is stats. So the Fire Mage stats is a bit weird. It's a bit weird. I mean, if you go, I dare you, go to whichever website where they have Fire Mage guides. They have different stats in different categories. I mean, I went to like 7 different websites to see. I mean, I know what I feel like is the best stats, but I went to so many websites to see what people actually are saying about the stats, and no one has the same. Everyone is like, no, you have to do this and this and that and do this. So let me just explain what I feel like. So first of all, Fire Mage are really reliable on intellect, and I know all the gear has intellect when you have cloth. I know that intellect is on all your pieces of gear, but if you get a trinket, or if you have enchants and you have the chance to get intellect, for example, you get a 350 trinket, 350 trinkets, and you have to choose between them. One of them have intellect, one of them have mastery. Then the intellect trinket is much more important than the mastery trinket, because intellect is such a cool thing for Fire Mages, and you just need it. Boom, capiche, finished. Then we have a little war, because mastery and critical strike are actually 2 traits that a lot of people is not complaining, but they're really debating which one is the best one. So on paper, the fact mastery works really well in dungeons and on trash mobs. It really enhances your AoE damage by all your spells. Sorry for that. So mastery is whenever you use a lot of your spells, they will create a dot on your target, so like a damage or a time buff, and a lot of that damage is really good for AoE, because it helps you keep enough damage on all the trash mobs all the time. So mastery is really great on trash mobs and mythic dungeons. And of course it's also fine on bosses. I mean, that's no problem, mastery is good. But then you could probably debate that maybe Haste and Critical Strike is actually better on single targets. Haste is of course making your spells cast faster, it reduces the cooldown on your Fire Blast, and it makes your Living Bomb explode faster. Also of course it gives you a lower global cooldown. Critical Strike is helping you to get more instant Pyroblasts, because every time you crit twice, you get an instant cast of Pyroblast. So you could say Haste and Critical Strike is probably maybe best for single target, but again, this way I'm having the spells right now is the recommended one I would take if you're like, you're learning the class, you want to be good, and you just take it easy and you want to be good in almost all scenarios. I'm pretty much recommending this, as you can see down under me. So first of all, intellect, and then mastery, because it's really great on mythic dungeons and also on trash mobs and adds in raids, and of course it also deals good damage on bosses. Then haste, because it helps you so much with casting faster spells, it helps you with Fire Blast lower cooldown, and it makes your Living Bomb explode faster. Also that I like versatility because it gives you flat directly damage and it also reduces damage you take, but it also, very important, increase your flat damage. And critical strike is also, of course, good for fire mages. It's not bad. It helps you getting more critical strikes so you can get 2 spells easier, crit in the row. But again, you have so many spells that is helping you to get the last critical strike. So it's like you have so many spells that can help you with the last critical strike that is guaranteed to be critical strike. So personally, I think this trade's stats I'm showing right now is the best one. But of course, if you want to have the 100% answer on the stats, you should of course sim your character. But this is what I recommend you should go for first of all. And then you can always discuss after that. No, I want to have that one, but that one. I mean, go to whichever website on the web and you will see they all have different stats they recommend, but this is what I recommend, so hallelujah, this is my stats. So the next point, though, a little fun, is we're going to talk about Azeroth trades. So I'm starting with the Outer Ring, and my favorite one for Outer Ring is Treasurer's Covenant. It's a really great trade. It increases your damage flatly because it increases your intellect, and it increases quite a much. I mean, it's giving you a lot of intellect, but it's only helping you if you actually have over 50% health. So I mean, if you are against a boss or you're trying with your raid groups to actually kill this boss, and you probably know that you're going to wipe. I mean, if you're going to be under 50% health the whole fight because you're still testing this raid boss and so on, Treasure's Covenant is not really helping you. But again, if you're in a group where everyone knows what to do, you're going to be over 50% health all the time. It's a really great spec trade. The next one is Blightborn Infusion. It gives you a lot of critical strike. So your spells and abilities have a chance to draw Wandering Soul that increase your critical strike for 14 seconds. Great one, and again, as I said, critical strike is not bad. It's actually quite good, but you can get it from so many other places, like here in your trades. So, and you can get it from your spells, so let's just keep it here. Wildfire is also quite cool. So Power Blast deals more damage, and when you activate Combustion, you gain 700 critical strike, and up to 4 maybe allies gain 96 critical strike for 10 seconds. So you're kind of helping your team, but most important, you get a lot of critical strike when you activate Combustion. It's kind of cool. And Power Blast deals a lot of more damage. I don't know about a lot of more damage, but again, if you have like 3 stacks of Wildfire, it's pretty cool, but you should probably not have 3 of them. You should probably also focus for Treasure's Covenant or else Blightborn Infusion. So this is the Outer Ring I am recommending. The next one would be the Middle Ring. So my favorite one for Middle Ring is Overwhelming Power. I mean, I love that trait. I have it on so many classes. And Overwhelming Power is giving you a lot of haste. Really a lot of haste. I like it, I love it. Overwhelming Power is really great. Then you have God Reaper and versus Heed My Call. These two spells are kinda, I would say Heed My Call is best for dungeon and trash mobs, and God Reaper is best for raid and single target fights. Because God Reaper has an execute phase, so after 30% health it's going to deal much more often damage. And Heed My Call has a really great LE damage, and also it deals quite good damage on single target impact. So you can say on before the boss goes down on 30% health, Heed My Call is probably dealing more damage because it deals more damage when it attacks. But after the target goes below 30% health, God Reaper is going to attack a lot of more time. So if you're against a boss that it takes long to get in from 30 to 0, God Reaper is definitely the best one. But if it's like a mythic dungeon where you know this boss is only going to survive for like 2 minutes, well, Heed My Call is probably going to help you even more, and even though if there's trash mobs. So you could probably say Heed My Call is dungeon and God Reaper is probably raid. So that is the traits and the talent. So no, sorry. That's the stats and Azeroth traits for Fire Mage. So the next point would be that we have to go to the talents in the game. So let me just switch over to the talents. And here we are on the talents. So let's discuss which talent is best for which scenario. So I will go through each row and talk about why you should use this talent and which talent you should use for different scenarios. So let's start with the first row. So the first row, Searing Touch, is the best one I recommend, like defaultly. If the boss is guaranteed to get, okay, steady down to 30% health, Scorch is going to be your filler. So Scorch is going, instead you're going to use Fireball as your filler, you're going to use Scorch as your filler because it's going to deal more damage, and it will always give you a critical strike equal. It means your Power Blast spam is going to be insane. So Searing Touch is definitely the most recommended one, like defaultly. If you're against a boss in a raid where he's going to be a long time on the first 10%, Firestarter is actually better, but only if it's like a boss that really are a long time on the first 10%. Also, it can be quite good if you have this Azeroth trait. It was not on my recommended Azeroth traits, but no matter what, still. If you have this one here where Fireball deals additional damage and has a 5% chance to launch a second Fireball, then Firestarter is actually quite good also. So if you have this one here, I can recommend Firestarter, but again, it wasn't really one of my, you can say, recommended Azeroth traits, so I would probably still say that Searing Touch is my favorite one and probably the one I would always go with. It's also really the best one on trash mobs because they will go fast down on 30% health. So I would say Searing Touch is like almost the one I would take, unless you're on a weird boss where he will be a long time on the first 10%. For the next row, I would always recommend Shimmer. It's really great. You can use it while you're casting spells. You have 2 charges of Blink. So I would always go with Shimmer. It's really helping you. The next row here is kind of, it's weird. Rune of Power deals a lot of damage while you're standing inside it. You're increasing damage by 40%. The problem here is that you also have to cast this Rune of Power, so you're actually wasting casting time, and it's only able to be up for 20 seconds. In Can's Flow, you don't have to do anything actively. It's 100% passive and you don't have to think about it, but it's not going up to as much damage. Runes of Power is going up to 40, Incanter's Flow is getting up to 20, and then it goes down again and up again, down again, up again. So you can probably say on paper Rune of Power is dealing most damage, but you have to stand still, you have to stand in the rune, and you have to waste cast time on it. So defaultly I would probably go with Incanter's Flow, but if you know you have time to cast Rune of Power and you can stand still, Rune of Power is probably going to give you the biggest damage boost. But Incanter's Flow is nice because you can still move and you can do whatever you want while you have it. On the next row I'm recommending Flame On, like ever, always. But Phoenix Flames can actually also be quite cool on trash mobs or dungeons because it gives you additional damage over time and it gives you additional critical strikes, so you can spam even more spells, instant casts. But Phoenix Flames is only really good for like trash mobs and you know, additional mobs. But Flame On is pretty much, I would say, better in almost any other scenarios because it reduces the cooldown on your Fire Blast by 2 seconds and it increases the number of your charges on your Fire Blast by 1. So I would say defaultly I would always take Flame On for single target and pretty much always. But Phoenix Flames can be really good on trash mobs or mythic dungeons also. But it gives you an additional spell, so you have to think about that when you actually get it. And it's changing your rotation. For the next row, I will always go with Frenetic Speed. It's the only one who really helps you in raiding a dungeon. It gives you speed every time you Scorch. And I mean, Iceward and Ring of Frost, I cannot see any reason for these. Maybe Ring of Frost could be fun to use on trash mobs in a mythic, but I'll probably go with Frenetic Speed though, in all situations. On next row, Conflagration is the best one for me. It's pure single target damage, so I would say Conflagration is the best one for 1 to 2 targets. When you go up to 3+ targets, Flame Path is going to be the best one, as long as they actually stand in. When you use Flame Strike, you know it's going to deal some damage over time. So you can see here, see here. So now it deals damage and it deals damage and slows them for a time. But with Flame Path, it's now also deals damage over time. So you can see if I use Flame Patch and I use my spell again, it now deals damage over time, and it's really great on +3 targets. So configuration is best for 1 to 2. Flame Path patch is the best one for +3. Living Bomb is a bit weird. It can actually be quite good in all scenarios, but it's recommended. They normally recommend it for like +12 targets. I mean, really big trash mobs groups. So I would say 1 to 2 configuration, 3 to many Flame patch. Living Bomb, I'm not really seeing when it's fitting in. It can be quite okay, but it's recommended only on very, very big groups of mobs. Yeah. The last row, Meteor, right now is dominating so much. So don't think about Pyroclasm, don't think about Kittling. Meteor is right now just dominating so much. So yeah. So you could say your single target build could pretty much look like something like this. And you could say your multiple target build would probably be something like this. Nothing really big changing. So it's kind of looking do. So that's the talents for Fire Mage. So yeah. So the next part would be that we go over to the dummy and test some spells, and I will talk about the rotation. And here we are at the dummies. So let's talk about the rotation, your opener, and how you should play as a Fire Mage. There's a quite important thing as a Fire Mage. You have your cooldown called Combustion, and Combustion is like your primary, I would say, damage cooldown, and it's really great. So first of all, let's talk about how you should open. So I would always, no matter what, use Meteor as my opener. It deals great damage on impact, and it burns the area so the target is actually burning. It's a really great talent. So now it's burning, it already made a great damage, and everything is cool now. After casting a Meteor, probably a lot of people is starting with using Combustion just directly out of it. I would probably not use Combustion as the first thing. I would try to get a hot streak first. Try to get a hot streak. So what I would do is I would use my Meteor, and first time I get a spell that actually crits, I would use Fire Blast, and then I would be ready for my Power Blast fishing. So again, I would use my Meteor, then I would fish for a hot streak. Here we go. So what I would do now is I would use Fire Blast, Combustion, Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast, Scorch, Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast, and yeah, then it died. So did you see how effective that was? So don't just use Combustion and just waste it on casting fireballs and do some random stuff. When you open up with Meteor, get your first hot streak, and when you use Combustion, it's so important that you use the build called Power Blast Fishing. So first of all, you get your hot streak up, you use Combustion, then you use your Power Blast, and when your Power Blast is fired, it will 100% crit because of Combustion. Then you use Fire Blast, and remember, Fire Blast is not on, I mean, you can use Fire Blast anyway. It's not on global cooldown or with the other spells. So while casting another spell, I can use Fire Blast. So it's just important that you know when you fire out one Power Blast while Combustion is active, use Fire Blast at the same time, they will crit. Power Blast again, Fire Blast, Power Blast again, Fire Blast. If you don't have any Fire Blast left, use Scorch, and then Power Blast, and then your Fire Blast should be back again. So it will be Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast, Scorch, Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast. Then your confusion is going to be so good. I mean, you will not regret that damage. It's so amazing. So beside your opener, you can say with your confusion, Fire Mage is quite, I would say, basic. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to fish for Power Blast. So now every time I crit, I want to use Fire Blast, Power Blast. And then again, fish for another crit, Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast. So every time just fish for a crit with Fireball, Fire Blast, Power Blast. I hate this blast. So fish for critical strikes from Fireball. Every time you crit one time, use Fire Blast immediately. And Power Blast. Fire Blast, Power Blast. Fire Blast, Power Blast. It's so sick. Really sick. I love it. The damage and the insanity of this, so great. So again, fish crits from Fireball. Every time you crit, use Fire Blast so fast as possible. I mean, normally when you play Spec, it doesn't really matter how fast you are on your keyboard. It's probably the same damage you will get out because of global cooldown. But Fire Mage is actually, it deals more damage if you're fast. If I can see when I spam my fireballs and I get a crit, I need to be fast with using my Fire Blast. So you can see, the faster you are, the faster you can get out damage. But be aware you don't misclick and use one Fire Blast too much or something like that. So let's do the opener again. Okay, so first Meteor, then fish for a crit. There, Confusion, Power Blast, Fire Blast, Confusion, then Scourge, and here we go. So in this case, you saw that my Fire Blast actually wasn't ready. So when I went into Confusion, I couldn't use my Fire Blast because it was not ready. And that will also happen to you because you cannot just stand and wait for 3 Fire Blasts to be ready. In that case, I replaced Fire Blast with Scorch, and then Power Blast, Scorch, Power Blast, Scorch, Power Blast, and then my Fire Blast was ready again, Fire Blast, Power Blast. Blast. So I hope you see what I mean is Power Blast will always crit, so that's why you're getting the first crit. All your spells will crit, so it's about casting spells that quickly goes out. So again, of course you want to use Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast, Fire Blast, blah blah blah. But if Fire Blast is not ready, you are reliable on Scorch. And that's how it is. If you play with the Dvalin Sorin's Touch, remember that Scorch deals 150% more damage when the target is below 30% health, and it always crits. So, really great. And you should probably replace Fireball with Scorch when this is actually happening. Also, now you probably think, what about trash mobs? What do I do against trash mobs? Then you have your Flame Strike. Your Flame Strike is like damage you use on the trash mobs, because when you use Flame Strike, each of the targets will burn. So you can see both of them is now burning, and it's great. And you can use Meteor, and they will both burn again. For trash mobs, it's really much about using Flame Strike, getting the burning up on them. If we try to get a heating up, you can see here, Hot Streak is actually also affecting Flame Strike. So that means on bosses, you should probably use your Hot Streak on Power Blast. On trash mobs, you're trying to get Hot Streak for casting Flame Strikes. So of course, just standing and casting Flame Strikes will not give you any good, because the critical strike of Flame Strike is not giving you Hot Streak. Dragon's Breath, Flame Strike and Meteor is not, any of these spells is not giving you Hot Streak. You actually have to use Scorch, or you have to use Fireball, or Power Blast, or Fire Blast. But a really great thing on Trash Mob is that when they get below 30% health, you can spam Scorch and get your crits, and then you can spam Flame Strike. So that's why Searing Touch is also really great on Trash Mobs. But again, let's see here. So we're against these two targets here, you have to cleave them. You should probably try to get out a crit so you can get a hot streak on it. Of course I'm not critting now. Come on. There, Fire Blast, and now Flame Strike. Meteor. I could also, because of Trash Mobs, I could just quickly jump around spamming Scorch until I get the crit and Flame Strike. And you also have your Dragon's Breath that deals actually quite a amount of damage. It actually deals really much damage. I can see here it deals 100 more damage than Flame Strike. So Dragon's Breath is actually also quite cool, but it's not helping you to get ticks. So you can say your single target and multiple target rotation is kinda close, but you don't want to spam Power Blast with hot streaks, you want to spam Flame Strike. But it's only good, there's a little point, because Power Blast is actually dealing 8,700 damage, and Flame Strike is dealing 3,500. Now it's 7,500. So 7,500 and 3,500. That means you need to cast. I need a calculation. So 3,500 to. Yeah. So on paper, Flame Strike on 2 targets is not dealing more damage than 1 Power Blast. So you should probably first begin to cast Flame Strike when actually against multiple targets, like +3. Or if of course you have talented Flame Patch, but again configuration is also a great one that kind of helps you. So, but again against 3 targets, Flame Path is nice and Flame Strike will always be better. On 2 targets, the numbers is telling that Power Blast is then stronger, so that's probably the facts. So, yeah, that is pretty much the Fire Mage rotation. I mean, you just fish for those Power Blasters, you spam those Power Blasters, you use your Meteor as much as you can, you have your Combustion, you use your Combustion, I'm sorry for that messenger sound. So you just fish for those critical strikes. Whenever you crit, you use Fire Blast, Power Blast, or Fire Flame Strike if it's more than 3 targets. And in Combustion, you're going to use your fishing style. So it's Power Blast, Power Blast, Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast, Fire Blast, Power Blast. Oh my god. And Scourge every time that Fire Blast is not ready. Never use Fireball, I would say, inside Combustion. So I would pretty much say that is the core principles of the Fire Mage. Actually, in the start of the movie, there was a little point that I forgot to talk about. I said that critical strike is probably the least one stat you want to have, and there's actually also a reason for it. I don't know why I didn't mention it, but you can see here, your spells have 15% increased chance to deal a critical strike, and you gain 10% more critical strikes stat from all sources. So that means even if you have mastery, even if you have haste, even if you have a versatility, it will give you critical strike. So that is why also, I mean, I had it on my mind when I made the list, and then I just totally forgot it when I actually talked about the stats. But here you have it. This is the fact why I'm putting critical strike down at the bottom, and why I like to have mastery at the top. So I hope you can forgive me for that little detail of misinformation. Or not misinformation, the stat privacy was still right, but I didn't have the explanation for why it should be there. But now you know, if you're still watching. Maybe you left the movie and said, oh, he didn't know that, but I'm telling you now. So again, that was the Fire Mage guide. We went through the stats, Azeroth traits, talents, and the gameplay. So I hope you enjoyed this guide. I do enjoy I play Fire Mage. It's a nice spec, really fun. So leave down a comment. What do you think about Fire Mages? What do you think about this guide? What do you think about World of Warcraft? So thanks guys for watching. Really appreciate all your support, and we'll see you in the next video. So cheers.